told you that you gotta dig it up the truth and apply it to your life. That's why I spit it in the booth. This is the truth. I might spit so fast I lose a tooth, but I'm telling you.
All right. Greetings, y'all, and welcome back to another episode of Carbonnation Chronicles. Someone complained in the comment section that they would prefer for me to pause the video before I continue. If it's YouTube, I can pause it. If it is an Instagram Live, then of course I cannot pause it. If it is simply Instagram, I can't pause it. This is Instagram Live, so I can't pause it. I can only turn the volume down. This is Nubian, aka he used to be Musa. Why these people keep changing their names, I don't know. But if you notice, these people are staying on social media. If you watched my last video, then you already know these people got to leave. Okay, that's what all these marathons are about. They got to leave. They got to leave. They may or may not induce Eliana's labor. I'm pretty sure they probably know how to do that. But they got to go. Yeah, they got to know. I mean, they got to go. So they're trying to get y'all to donate. Yeah, they're trying to get y'all to donate. And so there he was with his little 54 followers. So he just went live with his little 54 followers. So listening to Willow and her little live, it lets you know they gotta go.
Everything is God. She already broke that down. God is energy. Everything is God. You think what I'm saying? So what you have to realize is that
Mind you of a Jerry Lewis marathon. So he's basically trying to get everybody to go over to Moose's page.
so interdependent on the system. She's interdependent on the human love with. Because guess what? If you decide to leave, what's she gonna do? And she's good without you. She don't need
Yeah, they ain't never rocked like this before. Everybody got to leave. Because none of this stuff is in their name. And like her little shady behind said, whoever name it was, he already wanted his van back. And it's time, like Pharaoh been saying, it's time for them to come up off that Airbnb. Okay, so whatever her and what's his name, Rambo and Keys been arguing about, yeah, it's time to go. That's a nice healthy plate too. Dang, girl, you gonna eat all that? Yep. Yeah, come on, y'all. He ain't never did all this before. But she was in labor though. And they think the baby coming, and now they ain't said nothing about it. And not acting like it either, at all. But they showing you every moment of their lives.
Yes.
Can't get that dang on button on, can she?
Today is a day of acknowledging where you go wrong and stop making the same mistakes over and over.
Dr. Savy in the comments.
So that you can grow.
Hey, Dr.
And be
Savy.
who you truly are.
We miss you.
I just want to share something with you guys because it's been a repetitive pattern in my life. This has been a repetitive pattern. And remember that day, for all the people out there, remember that day we was sitting out here right here and Chief was live and he was going live with everybody, and I had my episode when I was like, I felt insecure about women and him flirting with other women and stuff. Remember that day? I'm pretty sure we all remember that day. So that day was very subconscious. It represented a part of my subconscious that I never really... You're getting blocked if you leave negative comments. That was a day that was very heartfelt for me because I never really truly got a chance to express myself when it came to my insecurities and how I grew up as a child with my Babylon father. And it's so analogous, it's so analogous because recently, as you guys have seen, my Babylon dad has tried to attack me.
I'm about to Google that word.
Through the, through young Pharaoh and stuff like that. And he tried to attack Chief. He tried to attack my husband through me. And the universe knows your weakness. First and foremost, I want to tell everybody out there, your universe knows your weakness. And it knows every avenue and every crescent that it can come through to try you and try other people in your life to split you apart, especially if it's a divine reason that y'all are together, or you live in the truth and you proclaiming the kingdom of God and applying divine knowledge itself to your life. You're going to be tried. You're going to be tested. Your spirit must be tested in this reality. And it's not even something else that's testing you. It's just you testing yourself to see how worthy you are, how pure your heart is of rejoining that flame of love again, which is complete understanding, to vibrate to the I am consciousness. And when I was growing up, I did not have a healthy perspective when it came to my Babylon dad and the way that I grew up. I always felt confused. I always felt like nobody wanted to understand me. I always felt like I could never talk to nobody about my childhood because they would never understand. Because when I did try to talk about it, people would try to make it seem like I didn't know what I was talking about, or I wasn't feeling the way that I was feeling about the situation. So I was very confused growing up. I was very confused. And one of the major things that happened to me that led to all of the insecurities that I have when it comes to my husband, and I just want to say this, my husband has not ever given me a reason for me to be insecure.
Oh.
He has reassured me and secured me throughout the whole time that I've been with him.
Oh my gosh.
From out of a relationship and in a relationship, you see. So there's no reason for me to have had or responded the way that I did in that moment that day. And distrust him when it comes to being in a polygamous relationship, because I've been on this journey with him a long time. And I've seen him make decisions and it's always divine. Nothing is out of alignment. You know what I'm saying? And I should have more trust in that than in my own insecurities. And over time, that has been a challenge for me, overcoming my insecurities. And I never really got a chance to express it. That's why it's still happening to me in my life. It's still perpetuating itself and it's leaking over into the relationship that I have now, and it's hindering me from being polygamous. First of all, I just want to say this. I don't think that I'm not polygamous. I just think that what stops me from being polygamous is the fact that I'm insecure within myself.
Okay, what she's doing is she's being manipulative. Okay, her and her husband, as she likes to call him, sat down and talked about this, and this is what they decided to come up with to smooth over that debacle that we saw, in the past few days. She learned to be manipulative from not only her husband, but from her father as well. She's full of shit. So is he, and they are both full of shit and they're scammers. Her husband, and her father, they all full of shit. They got some shit with them. Period, point blank.
Was taken off of me. Just to let y'all in, just being vulnerable. I have a sun in the 5th house and a Venus in the 5th house. So I require my energies require attention. You know, though I don't want to receive attention in a negative way. That's because I seek a different type of attention, and I've always said this when I was coming up. Because I have got a lot of attention, because my universe knows me and knows, who I am. So my universe has given me attention, but at some point when I was getting a certain amount of attention, I would completely cover myself up. Like like people in Babylon, if they know me, I would completely cover myself up. I would wear shirts like this all the time, like up to my neck. I would wear I literally turned myself into a boy because I was so beautiful and smart that everybody, it was just my spirit as well, my energies. People were so attracted to me. So I got a lot of attention physically, but I didn't like that. And I always used to say to myself, why don't people value me from my mind? Like, why people don't try to get to know me from my mind? Because when I try to talk to people, they're completely turned off by me. Like, even if I was mad pretty, like, they didn't care. If I started opening my mouth talking about the truth or talking about something that was really on my heart, they would completely be turned off by everything about me, like my beauty and all. And they would leave, and I would feel hurt. Like, that was a big part of my being insecure too. Because when I actually started expressing my heart to somebody, regardless of how I looked or anything, they just stopped fucking with me. And that means more to me than how I look. How I feel, like what's in my heart. The message that I have to bring here on my journey. The truth. Divine knowledge itself. And so, growing up with my Babylon dad, it was a lot of children in the house. I had in my lower self, 5 Babylon sisters and 5 Babylon brothers. So that's a lot of kids. And it was in and out and off and on, but it was still a lot of us. And because of how my energies were set up, I did not get the amount of attention that I required from my Babylon parents because they had so many other things to do. And I was the type of child, regardless of the attention, I was the type of child to go to my Babylon parents and ask questions and try to understand the situation. Though my Babylon parents was like, don't worry about it, you wouldn't understand, you're a child. And they would try to turn me away. And I just didn't understand that because as a child thinking in my mind, I would want, being a reflection, me putting myself in my Babylon parents' shoes, I would think that would be a good thing for my child to come to me to ask me what is going on and have a conversation with them, because the parents that you pour through are supposed to be your guide in life. They're not supposed to hide anything from you. They're not supposed to keep knowledge from you. They're supposed to give it to you, and that would have cultivated me in my maturity if they would have taken that step with me to sit down with me and talk to me. But because they didn't, I carried my immaturity over into the life that I'm living now, into my reality, which is not conducive. And so now I'm having to live out a reality that is presenting me issues and obstacles for me to overcome to become mature, to make me a woman, because my Babylon father just did not have the assets or the mindset set to do it at the time. And I just want to say, I don't blame any of my Babylon parents for what I'm going through. I'm just saying this is my psyche. This is what's going on psychologically with me, for me to display the behavior that I've displayed over the camera when I had, that issue between me and my husband through my insecurities and feeling like I don't like polygamy and, and stuff like that. And attention was given, in a very weird way, and amongst a lot of other things, which was every time I tried to do something, like I feel like I'm a great person. I feel like I'm a very special person. I feel like I have abilities beyond what. Sometimes I feel like I have abilities that are like very valuable to a person, and if I'm not getting that energy exchange back that is equal, then I'm gonna feel like less, like I'm gonna feel like what's wrong with me? Like why aren't you reciprocating what I'm giving you? Like I'm giving you a lot. Why aren't you doing it back for me? And so that's how I felt in my reality growing up with my Babylon dad, because at one point in time, my Babylon mom and dad, they had to get a divorce. They got a divorce because their relationship wasn't working, and then the tables turned because she wasn't no longer in our life to take the my Babylon mom and dad have 6 Babylon children together. They weren't able to co-parent because they weren't mature enough to co-parent. I don't care what either one of them say. Both of them was not mature enough to co-parent the children for us to actually come out decent enough to, without insecurities and without, being immature. Like, they just can't co-parent. And so the tables flipped to where my Babylon dad was taking care of the 6 children, and I was in the position, being the oldest out of those 6 Babylon children and being the only, you technically say girl, a woman in the house. I had to then go forth and make myself a woman. Like, my universe had forced me to do things that a grown woman would do. It forced me to take care of my Babylon brothers and sisters like I was their mom. Like, I got up every morning and I got them ready for school, and I walked them to the bus stop, and I made sure that they got to school in the morning. Otherwise they would be late for the bus, or they would not have a ride to school, or they would just sleep in because they're children. They don't want to go to school anyway. Then after time, I have to come back home and I have to cook for them. I have to make sure they have something to eat because my Babylon dad is now been at work, and by the time we get home, he's gone. So I'm playing mommy the whole time. I made sure their hair is done. I made sure they get in the tub and then go to sleep at a decent time at night. And I found myself trying to I was it started at, I would say, between 11, my late 11, 12 Babylon years. This is when I started to play mommy. It was for a good minute that I was doing that too, and I could remember how frustrated I used to get because you know how children are. Like, you have to clean up after children. You have to do. You're a mom, and I didn't understand that at that time, and I would get so frustrated because I would be the only one cleaning up. I would be trying to fuss at them to clean up, trying to get them to understand why they should be cleaning up, and they would talk back to me, and I had fights with my Babylon sister. I had fights with my Babylon brother. I had to beat them, try to beat them to get them to understand you can't do this. So I was in a very adult role at that time. I couldn't fully rationalize what was happening to me at the time. And so after some time, he did get a wife, and she came in, and majority of his wives before the wife he have now, those wives were just like girlfriends, and those wives was they wasn't really even there enough to take over the role that I had. And when one woman was, but she was mean to us, and I remember she tried to come in the house and try to rearrange our living situation, and me being my energies and always having the status that I had in the house to take care of my Babylon brothers and sisters, I was not having it. I was lady, you're not about to come in my house and try to change my living situation. Because she was trying, I'm going to just say her story because this shit still pisses me off to this day. She was trying to take my room and switch it with my Babylon brothers' room and have them in my room. And their room, y'all, when I tell you, when children don't have supervision, children can be very, very nasty. They could be very, it's just completely nasty when they are not under supervision, and that's what was happening. The house was filthy, it was not clean, and I was always trying to clean up. So when she was trying to do that, I was like, you are not about to put me in that room, because the dog used to go in there and pee on the floor, and then nobody would pick it up, and poo on the floor, poo on their clothes, they had clothes everywhere, and I would always try to get them to clean up, but they wouldn't do it. And my Babylon dad he didn't really care about it. He would fuss sometimes about it, but it wasn't to the point where Now my Babylon mom, on the other hand, she don't play that shit. Like, you cannot leave a cup on the counter. You can't even, the grout can't even be dirty without her fussing or without her saying, like, go get a fucking toothbrush or a scrub brush and clean the grout in the floor. Like, my Babylon mom, she was very ordered and structured when it came to cleanliness in her home. And that's why I am the way that I am now, like, because she instilled that in me. And even now, like, to this day, like, my husband's like, why you always cleaning something? You always doing something. Like, I cannot function when there's things around me that's out of place or just dirty, because that's the environment that I came from, living with my Babylon dad. It was just so nasty, like, to the point where, like, I got an infection because the environment was just that nasty, and he didn't care to help it. Like, he didn't care to fix the situation. And at that time, I thought that he didn't care to fix the situation. I don't know what he had going on. I can't speak from his end. But what I do know is what I experienced, and nobody can take that from me, because it just is what it is. I had to go through it. It was moments in time where we needed our clothes washed, all of us, all of the children needed our clothes washed, and he would tell us only to get our school clothes and underwear and socks and like 2 shirts and a pair of pants for the weekend, and then he'll wash that. And I'm like, all of our clothes need to be clean. Like, you've been doing this for a couple months. So our clothes used to be in trash bags, like in black trash bags, and it all just mildew because he couldn't wash it. And I'm not trying to down him or bash him, because like I said, it's just the truth, yeah. And I don't know what he had going on, but he didn't reciprocate communication to me for me to understand the situation. So I still, to this day, I don't know what he had going on. So it only leaves me with and then the patterns that I seen. He would make sure that his shit was together, but even then, like, his room wasn't clean either. So I seen it as a reflection of him, you see. But he did make sure that he had his shit together, and the wife who was ushered in at the time that he's married to now,
I'm just gonna go on record by saying I think she wrong for this shit. For real. She putting her dad on full blast, and I think she wrong for this.
My youngest Babylon brother, they used to bring him with them all the time, and that was her child. But I still claimed him because I grew up with him from when he was a baby. So he is my Babylon brother. But they always used to take him with them because that was her child. And I don't know what they do to this day, but it has been like that for me, and I felt jealous because of that, because I'm like, wow, like, me and my Babylon brothers and sisters are hungry too. Like, we want to go to the restaurant that y'all going to, you know what I'm saying? We want to go get a nice top or a nice pair of pants, and you know what I'm saying, and be with y'all and have that memory, but it wasn't reciprocated. And so I felt like, damn, like, what the fuck did we do? Like, what did we do to you? And I don't know, sometimes I felt that, just because this is just my perception of the situation. Sometimes I felt he had a weird disposition sometimes about the kids that he did have with my Babylon mom, because it was too much drama and it was too much back and forth. So I felt like he escaped his reality through the relationship that he had with his current wife. Sometimes I did feel like that, because we was just there. Like, we were just there. It would have been times where he would just leave, and then he'll come back, and we'd be like, where were you? Or, just thinking about where he was or something like that. And it just was what it was. Like, I can't take that back, you know what I'm saying? You never gave me the opportunity to sit down with you and talk about it, so I don't know what happened. So this is how I perceive the situation, based off of the facts that I had behind it, the patterns that I had behind it. And deeper than that was the fact that, a lot of stuff made me insecure when it came to my Babylon dad. Like I told you, I had a certain standard of how he was supposed to treat me and deal with me as his daughter. So, at one point in time, throughout the divorce, my youngest Babylon sister, and that's why I don't understand why my Babylon brothers and sisters respond to the situation. Well, I do understand why they respond to the situation the way that they do, is because of their astrological programming, and I have a different one as well. And I just see the truth for what it is. I'm an Aquarius. You cannot keep the truth from me. I'm going to find out the truth. I'm always asking why. When I was a kid, everybody's like, you ask way too many questions. Like, chill, like, sit down. Like, like my Babylon grandma one time used to call me disgusting because I used to, like, be into stuff so much. I had a nickname of what do you call, what was his, fidgety. They used to call me fidgety too when I was growing up because I was doing this. I was always here, there, doing stuff, trying to figure out reality, trying to figure out my life. And at that time when not, and I just want to say this, like, some people could say that it was spoiled, but I was not spoiled, like, at all. Like, I didn't once my Babylon mom had left, when I was 11, that's when shit flipped upside down. And when she was there, every child was equal. Every child had just the same amount as everybody else. Nobody was left out, and my Babylon mom still does that to this day. Like, if she buys something for the girls, she'll buy it for all the girls. If she buys something for the boys, she'll buy it for all the boys. But that's materialistic. That's just what I've experienced in Babylon. And
the morale of it.
And the morale, that's a fact. It is the morale of it, and that's what I experienced. So I never felt like I had this weird disposition or insecurity by my mom, because she treated all of us equally. Now when it came to my Babylon dad, on the other hand, this nigga was ruthless, like relentless. Like, he used to sit down with us and tell us not to go too far off, because I'm gonna come back to this story that I was just about to tell you, which is very important. This is a very important story that played into my insecurities in my life. My Babylon dad will always buy the boys stuff. He will always put the boys on a pedestal. Like this is my boys. Like, this is my boys. Like, dude, he would have that disposition, and he would not acknowledge the girls at all. And if he did acknowledge the girls, he'd be like, "Yeah, I love y'all." That's like, it wasn't the same energy that he gave to the boys. So I was like, damn, like, what the fuck? And even one time, I don't want to put words in his mouth, but one time I did hear him have a conversation about how he viewed women, like how he looked at women, and it wasn't that good of a, like, no, like, it was more like I don't know how he feel now, but at the time he did not respect women that would have made me feel comfortable as his daughter. You see what I'm saying? Like, and I was completely turned off by that situation. I was like, damn, that made me feel like I ain't shit. That how he viewed women at the time made me feel like I wasn't shit as his daughter. Like, if you feel like that about women that you're dating, what makes me think that you don't think about me like that, and I'm your daughter? And then you treating me how you treated me. And not only me, my other Babylon sisters too. He treated them the same way. So I don't understand why they all going hard over him and being on his side and doing all this when they know the facts, when they know what they went through. But it is what it is. I can't force them to speak their truth. I can't force them to tell the truth. But I'm always gonna be that person that put it out. And that's the type of person. That's the child that I was. I called CPS when I was a child because I didn't like the situation. I got beef for it twice. For calling CPS. The first time I got beef for it was because I didn't want to wash dishes. I did want to wash the dishes, but I just didn't do it in a timely fashion that he wanted me to wash the dishes, because he had his own plans. And mind you, prior to that day that I got beef for calling CPS or having that episode of not washing the dishes, I had been taking care of my Babylon brothers and sisters for well over 2.5 years at that time. And so I was cleaning up constantly. So you can imagine, as a young teenager, how I feel as a young woman, as a young teenager, having to take care of children and clean up after them and play mommy. And I can't even give my energies to extracurricular activities that I wanted to do outside of school, or hang out with my friends, or just relax and be a teenager. I couldn't be a teenager. You know what I'm saying? So just imagine how I felt in that position. So after so leading back to the other situation that happened, the second time I had got beat. The first time I got beat was because the fact that I didn't wash the dishes in a timely fashion. The second time I got beat, and I'm talking about like brutally beat, like that.
Yeah. What she need? They need.
Me and my Babylon dad. This is why I don't understand why people think that this shit is like something fake. Like, I don't know. It's weird as fuck to me, because I know what I went through. Me and my Babylon dad has parent sessions, like parent-child sessions from Poydras Street. I don't know if anybody know the fucking building. I think it's 1555, like in New Orleans on Poydras Street. If I'm not mistaken, me and him had to sit in that building and have goddamn parent-child conferences because the social worker wanted to understand what he could have did better to help our situation. And it's like, he just, in that moment when he was having that conversation with me, he always made me feel like he was trying to manipulate my mind. Like, he always made me feel like, just by body expressions, body language, and facial expressions, which is body language, that he wanted to make me, like, he was trying to do this Jedi mind trick. Like, he was trying to play psychological games with me through his body language. But that never, I was nervous because of it, of course, because, like, this nigga's strong. Like, he's a man. Like, I'm a young ass lady. Like, I'm not that big. I can't fight him or nothing. So 15-15 portrait, yes, exactly. That's you see what I'm saying? That's my universe, like, fucking telling the facts, bruh. Yes, I was in that building more than one time on separate occasions just because of the fact that he was not treating us right. On top of the fact that when my Babylon mom and dad was going to court, my Babylon mom knew that he wasn't treating us well, to the point where she had stopped investing money in us, because when we take our stuff from her house, we had to take our stuff from her house and bring it to his house. And then by the time it got to his house, it was destroyed or lost or some shit like that. And we didn't have nothing when we went back over to her house. So she had to position herself as a mother to be able to provide for us when we was by her house. She was like, she was taking care of 2 households. My fucking Babylon mom had to pay child support for all 6 of us. Then when I tell you I never saw any of that money, and then this is just what I've experienced in Babylon, it's all low itself. It's just the principle and the morale behind the situation of why I felt insecure and why
Okay, I'm gonna stop right there because that's where I started at the in the other video, because it was actually live at that time. And I'm gonna say this too, when she said she never saw that money, like, the parent doesn't give the child support money. They actually use it to take care of the child, pay the bills and all that kind of stuff. But hearing this story, she probably meant she never saw that money because he didn't apply to their lives in any way. But they had a roof over their head, so he had to. I don't know. I'm just, I don't know what to say. I'm gonna go and cut back to the other video, y'all. So hold tight.
so you could secure a bag. And that's all that they doing in Babylon. That's all you go to college for, is to get a paper so that you could go get more paper to give paper back to paper.
That's all they asking for donations for, is to secure a bag. Now, no, don't get me wrong, y'all. I don't have a problem with people asking for donations. Not at all. I have a problem with them sending out mixed messages about living out off the land and they not doing it right. I have a problem with them putting out this message and critiquing everybody who's still in Babylon, but yet still they haven't set themselves up so where they can do it right. And they just showing people how to do it. And then they could, flip their lip if they want to, which I still don't think they should condemn people for the choices that they're making. But don't ask for jack. Don't ask for now donation along the way. They high and mighty and talking mad junk and putting every last bit of their business out there, but then saying, mind your business, send me some money. But y'all ain't self-sufficient. The whole point is to get away from the system and be self-sufficient.
And it's just a rat wheel of stupidity, of ignorance that keeps you
Look at this manipulator.
disconnected from real life, real understanding of how a life is supposed to be. And I said, And everybody was discouraged of me in that moment. And I could feel the thoughts of my lower self. I could feel those thoughts. And it was thoughts like, oh, she might be a bum. You getting blocked if you in my room and you comment and you don't got Christ on the end of your name. I'm just saying. She's gonna be homeless. She's not gonna be nothing in life. People in Babylon automatically think about people that don't have a job, that don't go to college, that don't, have all of the requirements that your lower self norm is supposed to have. They always go straight into thinking like, oh man, you're gonna be able. Most of those bums that you see on the street have a lot of wisdom. They have a lot of things that the masses don't think about, that have all the cars and all the houses and have the family and have all of these luxury things. They don't think like that. And the only thing that keeps them vibrating to that frequency in Babylon is because they know not that there's another option for them. They don't know that they could leave. They don't know that. Man. So, when I decided that I wasn't going to go to college, nobody fucked with me. And, I was in this program, that only got me from point A to point B, trying to survive in that Babylon system. I had to attain more because I had things to do. I had created a family to take care of at that point. I was in this relationship with the child, with this child, and I was taking care of my Babylon grandma and my Babylon sister and her husband while she was pregnant.
This is the part that I'm talking about. She was in a relationship with a child.
Simultaneously of me taking care of the child of the father that I was with in the relationship. So I had this family and I had responsibility, and I had to find out how I was going to make enough money to pay the light bill and the water bill because no one else could help me at the time. And
Okay, I'm going to run this back just a little bit just so I can be clear on what this little slick little heifer here is trying to say.
Had to find out how I was going to make enough money to pay the child of the father that I was with in the
Hold on.
My sister and her husband while she was pregnant with this. I had created a family to take care of at that point. I had to attain more because I had things to do. I had created a family to take care of at that point. I was in this relationship with the child, with this child, and I was taking care of my Babylon grandma and my Babylon sister and her husband while she was pregnant, simultaneously of me taking care of the child of the father that I was with in the relationship. So I had this family and I had responsibility.
Okay, so she talking in riddles, but it sounds like maybe the dude she was with had a child already. I don't.
And I had to find out how I was going to make enough money to pay the light bill and the water bill because no one else could help me at the time. And I did not. It was parts of me that got frustrated. If anybody knows what it's like to feel that you may not have enough money to pay the lights and you gotta sit in the house for 3 months with no lights and no water with a baby, you have to come up with something. You have to figure out a plan. Like, you have to figure out something to make money to get this, because they've taken your resources. Babylon has taken your resources because you do not have the coupons to give back to them to get done what you need to get done. And I said, fuck, what am I gonna do? So after about 4 months of trying and failing, I was so deep in the hole of money, maybe about, I would say like almost 3,000 worth of back bills because of the house previously, before I moved in that house. someone else was staying there and the bills were not caught up on, and it was months that had passed by. I mean months. And I'm like, whoa. So $3,000, this is the rent, the water, and the lights backed up for a couple months. So I'm like, damn, how the fuck am I gonna get this money? You know, I could pay so much right now and get the lights turned off for this amount of time, but I would rather get this cleared. I would rather get all of this time that's cleared. This is how I was thinking in my lower self at that time, having the responsibility of a family. And I said I would rather get all of these back bills paid because that's going to kick me in the ass, you know. And it didn't matter that it was somebody else's doing because I didn't look at it like that. I said, this is me. I said, I took on this responsibility. This is just me. And if I just innately knew if I allowed that to be the way that it was just a reflection of who I was. And that is not how I would never let no shit get backed up. Oh, no, that is no. So I took the initiative. I said to myself, and I never prayed to God. I prayed to God at one point in time, but I never prayed to God in the sense that it was external. I always felt that I was talking to myself for some reason, and you know, certain things happen, and this is a part of the Christ conscious. When you vibrate to the Christ conscious and you realize certain things in certain moments because you have the most purest thoughts when you do something. And I'm in my lower self and I'm praying to myself and I'm like, please, like, help me. Like, I'm like, help myself. Like, I'm like, help me. Like, I don't know what to do right now. Like, show me the way. You know what I'm saying? Like, whatever I gotta do, I don't know what the fuck it is, but I'm gonna figure it out. And so then a thought came to me. And the thought was to get on the phone with someone and vent. Don't ask, and this is the thoughts that I'm having. Don't ask them for anything. Don't even really go into deep detail about your situation. Just vent to them. Just vent to this person. I think I just blocked Urban. Yeah, I blocked Urban. So I called the person that I had contact with. I had a network. You know, by the time I was 19 Babylon years, I had many connects in the city to where I could call people who were high in rank in my society so that I could be able to get from point A to point B. I mean, I'm an Aquarius. I mean, what do you expect? You know, I need network. I need a network team. So that's what I did with my life, you know. So called the lady and I'm venting to her and I'm like, yo man, I'm feeling the wrath of Babylon, you know, and I don't know what to do. And so I'm just venting to her and I'm telling her how much money I gotta pay and, you know, the things that I might have to do to get this money. And she stops me and she says, how much do you need? And I'm like, what? Excuse me? And she's like, how much do you need? I'm like, yo, it's a lot of money. She's like, I don't care about the amount. I just need to know how much you need. And I'm like, I told her the amount. And she's like, okay, I'm going to pay that for you right now. Within 2 hours later, the lights was on, the rent was paid, all of the back bills was paid, and I had groceries in the house because she came to take me to make groceries. Actually, she didn't even take me to make groceries. She made all the groceries for me and put them in the house. And did that 2 weeks after she had loaned me the money that I needed to pay the back bills. And I was amazed at myself. I said, what in the world? I said, what is this phenomenon? What is this? I'm trying to understand this. And then in that moment, I realized that I had created that situation myself because I took the initiative to take a step towards what I needed versus it waiting to come to me. I took heed to that thought that I had and I did it. And it paid, it came back tenfold. It's like, damn, this is crazy. So I had recreated my environment solely based off the consciousness that I was vibrating to, the I am consciousness, the God consciousness. I was like, yo, And of course, I quickly fell out of that, and then I had to go back to the mundane routine of doing this and doing that. But that never.
Okay, now y'all see what I'm talking about? Listen, y'all. This child here, she's beautiful. She's very intelligent. She really is. And I just, I don't know. I'm gonna let her talk some more before.
That never left my mind. I was so amazed at myself, and I knew it was myself now because the fact that how if we are a fractal version or a piece of what is, how can we be anything less than that? You know, there are many videos that Carbonation has done that we've put out. I'm just letting y'all know, if y'all are in my room commenting, I'm gonna block you. Period. I just need you to listen. I don't want you speaking. It's okay if you have thoughts, but keep those thoughts to yourself because people are gonna get what they need. Do not play as an insulator. It don't matter what you have to say. It's a disruption and it's confusing and it's making people tap into other thought frequencies when you say certain things. So please stay quiet in my room. No, I don't want you to speak. Living life the Christ, I will block the shit out of you too if you no. Be quiet. I just need you to listen. Get what you need from the message. Stop. And this is the thing. We so worried about everybody else. And it don't matter if you have a good thought, point A to point B. And anything else that I had in that time span, I would give it to other people. Like I would share it with other people because I used to get abundant. Like when I would have a thought, I used to get abundant in return, and I didn't really, my energies, I don't need a lot. Like I require a lot spiritually, but like materially, I don't need that much stuff. Like I'm not materialistic at all. So when I did get abundance, I lend it to people who need it. You know, the reason why I had manifested the back bill money was because of the people. I was thinking about the people that was around me and how much they needed it. I wasn't even thinking about, a part of me was thinking about myself, of course, because I'm in that situation too, but I really didn't need water. I really didn't need the food that the lady bought because I didn't eat that. You know, I didn't need lights. Wasn't a fan of lights anyway. I used to, when the lights was on, I'm like, turn these shits off. Like, why do you have these lights on? You know, and even when I got the money to pay the lights, I told everybody in the house, I said, this is what I'm going to have. I'm saying, you don't turn these lights on without my permission, or if it's daylight outside, because guess what? I have to take on the slack of what you're not making up for. So, bossy, and that situation got heated. So I decided to remove myself out of that situation because it was not conducive for me, and I found myself giving way too much and not receiving anything at all. And I was drained. I was truly drained from that. And I said, I'm getting out of this. And nothing held me back. Some people would feel bad for the grandma because she's like super ill and she can't take care of herself. She's, you got diapers and stuff, and then you got this child, and I was not attached to none of it because I knew who I was in that moment, in the moments of me deciding the decisions that I made for my life to get out of the things that I was in. I just knew me innately, and I just made the decision, and it allowed me to propel out of everything that I've overcame in my lower self. So I decided that I was going to go to college at that point, And the way that I manifested to get into college was just a miracle, just like the bag bills. You know, it was all just very magical, and I knew that I created it all myself. I created my whole world of me being an agriculturist and me going to college, and no one helped me. No one, no, it was me and my thoughts that did it, and that's it. So the last time I went to college twice, but that time before the back bills, this was my time that I was going back to college the second time. And so I'm blocking insulator. They got a lot of insulators. So I wound up going back to college. And I was like, yo, I'm a be real great and stuff like that. And then once I did that, everybody started fucking with me. You know, everybody was like, oh my God, she's doing good for herself because she's doing Babylon shit. So everybody started fucking with me. And I mean, including my Babylon parents, because they was not fucking with me. You know, they wasn't. They thought I was going to be a bum. They thought I was going to be homeless. They thought I wasn't going to do nothing with my life. They thought I was going to be a low life. So when I just, made the decisions that were to their requirements or to their standard, that's when they started coming back in my life. And I felt some type of way about it, But I didn't take it too personal because the situation really didn't have anything to do with them more than it had to do with me doing what I knew was right with my life at that point. And so I didn't really care of what they thought about me or the decisions that I made to get where I was, So when I went to college, I was trying to be a part of Babylon. I was trying hard as fuck, and I failed horribly. The only classes that I passed in college was my agriculture classes and swimming and English. I tell you no lie, like vocabulary. Vocabulary was my shit. Swimming was my shit, and my agriculture classes was my shit. Everything else, I failed with F's and D's, not even a C. And I was feeling bad. Like I started feeling bad. Like something was wrong with me mentally, because prior to that, in Babylon High School, I was like making all A's. Like I was the A student, and I was like, making good grades. But then when I got to college, it started off like everything just started falling off. And it wasn't until, I had got diagnosed with, herpes as an imbalance, as a reflection of my inability to stay dedicated to my purpose that I had, already prior, said that I was going to come to this earth plane to do. Wasn't until I woke up. Fully woke up to take heed to everything that was going on around me. That scared me. That gave me fear and propelled me into my purpose. Because before that, I wasn't taking it that seriously. I wasn't taking life that seriously. I wasn't fearful of the things that may have happened to me if I would have gone against my life path. And herpes scared me. That was one of the things that scared me. And I knew that it was something that was very mysterious. Even the herpes was very mysterious to me because I couldn't understand why I had it to the capacity that I had it. And I never had any signs. Like I never had any breakouts or I never had anything that would indicate that. It wasn't until I just decided to go to the doctor and just get tested, for everything. That's what I decided to do, because prior I was on birth control and I would do that. And people in Babylon, they do shit like that. So I did that. But it was all happened in divine time, and it happened for a purpose. And so after that happened, I woke up, and then, the Honorable Master Chief Eligio, the Christ, he was already in my life. Videos was already popping up. He was already in my inbox. He was already in my live. He was already there. I wasn't fully awakened to receive him the way that I did after the fear had got placed in my heart to propel me to do the right thing and for good. And once I took heed to everything, that's when all of the information started to seep in. It started seeping in, and I started looking at reality different. I was in my dorm room, and I started looking at life differently. I vibrated so fast. I want to tell y'all the experience that I had. When I vibrated to the Christ conscious, I vibrated so fast that I can feel the levels of consciousness that I transcended. I mean facts. I don't know if anybody else ever had this experience when you were thinking on a low frequency, and then you have like, okay, so you have Babylon, people who think purely like Babylonians, like I'm gonna get a job, I'm gonna secure the bag. Then you got people who are in Babylon, who are like the neo soul group, who do the crystals, and then you got the ones who the Moors, and then you got the Christians, and then you got the Muslims, and you got all of these different forms of levels of consciousness. And I like leveled up. Like it was almost like I was catching up to my frequency. Like I was like I don't even know how to explain it a little bit, because it was so like distorted. I was so distorted from where I was supposed to be that it was imbalanced like a motherfucker. Like I was so imbalanced at this point. So I had, prior to having that experience, before I fully woke up after that experience, because of my master teacher, I already had ran into Moors. I was friends with Moors and didn't even know that I was friends with Moors. Everybody, please be quiet in my room. I just want you to listen. Please don't comment. If you comment, you're being blocked. I already had ran into Moors. I didn't even know I was friends with the Moors, and it just is what it is. And but these Moors was a bit different. I don't even think that they fully dedicated their lives to being a Moor, because they was kind of like in and out at the same time. Some of them were and some of them weren't. Like the most that we did was go in the garden together and plant things, and I would exchange plants with them as far as food and stuff like that, and commerce. Like we would just trade. Like one of my friends had butternut squash, and I would take the butternut squash for a spinach plant, for a baby spinach plant. She'll go plant it in her garden so that she could have spinach. And we would make meals together. We would make vegan meals together, and we would invite each other over and talk about how we're gonna make the world a better place, and things of this sort. And I was tapped into the crystal people at one point. Everybody having crystals, and I was tapped into that. I was tapped into the Vietnamese culture, the Vietnamese spiritual culture. I was tapped into that, the Buddha, and having Vietnamese friends and them teaching me about crystals and herbal medicines and the earth, and all these other ancient, what would you call it, ancient knowledge. They taught me a little bit, and all of this is documented on my Instagram. You can see all of this on my Instagram. And it was funny because I recorded it and didn't even know that I was recording it, but it was to literally go back in time to see how far I had came now. So, when I woke up in college, I just decided to let everything go. I literally decided in my mind, I said, this life is not for me. It was truly, and this is why, part of the reason why I failed, because it wasn't my purpose. It wasn't something that I loved to do. I did not like going to college. I didn't even like going to high school. This is why I had so many problems in high school. They would call my parents like, yo, she's like tripping. Like I would have to go to the counselor because I was tripping, not even tripping. I just didn't fit in. I was like, this don't even make sense. It just don't make sense to me. So I was one of those kids. I was a runaway. In Babylon, they call you a runaway. And I never felt bad for all of the decisions that I made, because I knew that it was the right thing to do. So I wound up letting go of my attachment to college and stuff like that. And of course, I got my test to come along the way, through my Babylon family and through other people, like, my Babylon friends and stuff like that. And I was able to overcome that, because I was once I make a decision, that's my decision. I'm a very fixed energy. Like, I'm an Aquarius. It's hard to change my mind. It's hard to try to persuade me into doing something that I already solely made a decision to do with my life. And that was kind of how it was with the agriculture, until I changed my own decision by myself. So I decided to leave because I vibrated way too high to stay in that environment, to the point where my blood started to change, my frequency started to change. I literally, for the 2 weeks that I remained there, when I vibrated to the Christ conscious, or to a level of the Christ conscious at that time, I could not eat for 2 weeks because the food was not conducive with the frequency of my being, with the frequency of my cells. I was vibrating a whole different frequency than what my environment was. So I could not eat. So I couldn't even drink the water. So I lost a lot of weight within those 2 weeks prior to me moving out of my lower self, or leaving out of my lower self. And a lot of people was looking at me crazy, and I still do think that people look at me in a crazy way, and a lot of people don't really understand what it is that I'm doing. But I try to articulate myself the best way that I can to allow people to understand and to tap into the thought frequency that I'm at, so they can understand where I'm coming from. Because it's deeper than just living in a Babylon system. It's deeper than that. People are like, you could do that here, you could do that in Babylon. I'm like, no, you cannot. Like, I got sick because I couldn't, and that does not feel good. I had imbalances because of that. You know what I'm saying? You cannot vibrate no higher than the capacity of which your environment is vibrating to. So I had to once I changed my thought process, once I leveled up in consciousness, my environment naturally changed, because everything is mental. Everything is mental. Everything is thought first. We think it into existence. We thought ourselves into existence, and then after some time, we, as a fruition, came into and manifested ourselves into the physical form, as you would see you and me, to experience. And my environment just naturally changed, and this is all that I was asking for my whole time, like my whole life. I'm like, I just want to be in nature. I just want to be in nature. I don't even know why I want to be in nature, but I want to be in nature. I was always tapped to some spiritual shit. Like, I was trying to ask questions about energy, like, what is energy? Once I got exposed to crystals, that's when I really started.
All right, y'all. I'll be back with the rest of the Rambler. Make sure y'all like this video. Peace.